Hi, everybody, and thanks for joining our weekly podcast. I'm Shelley Cohan, and I am thrilled to have with us Stew Leonard Jr. He is the president and CEO of Stew Leonard's grocery chain. So, Stew, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Good morning. Or hi, Shelley. I
So,
don't.
for our list,
It's
go.
not morning. It's not morning anymore.
Well, for our listeners who have not visited Stew Leonard's grocery store, here's what I have to say to you: run, don't walk. I love the experience. It's like the Disneyland of dairy store, which is what the New York Times quoted or dubbed your store.
Yeah.
I always buy more than I plan because I'm having a good time. I love the experience of it. And actually, the Stew Leonard started as a small dairy store back in 1969. It's a family run business. You started with 7 employees. And now, not only are you the world's largest dairy store, but you're one of the most renowned grocery stores. You have annual sales of more than 500 million, and now you have over 2,500 team members.
Yeah.
So your stores are located in Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, and here's the thing, Stu. I know you're not going to toot your own horn, so I do want to mention a couple of things about Stew Leonard's for our listeners. One is your management style, the family, how you run the business has actually been quoted in and looked at in 2 of Tom Peters' books, A Passion for Excellence and Thriving on Chaos. Thriving on Chaos, by the way, is one of my favorite management books as a young executive. And the one stat that I know my listeners are going to love is that you were actually in the Guinness Book of World Records back in 1992. And here's the stat that is amazing. You had, at that time, the greatest sales per unit area of any single food retail store in the United States.
The
So,
world. It
wow.
was the
The
world.
world. Was it the world? Oh my gosh.
Guinness Book of World Records. But I would say with that, Shelley, even though we were in it for sales per square foot, we would have been at the very bottom of the list if you measured us for profit per square foot.
Back then. I
Yeah.
love your transparency. That's
Yeah.
great. But today it's a great business model that you have. So, in our podcast today, we have a very full agenda. We're going to tackle tariffs, beef prices, artificial dyes, and something you are personally devoted to, which is water safety.
Yeah.
So, let's jump right in with the tariff conversation. The CPI, which just came out for June, shows us some of the categories that are up in food. So food at home is up 2.4%. Meat, poultry, fish, and eggs are up 5.6%. That's primarily driven by eggs that are up 27%, and beef prices, which we're going to get to in a minute. But also, consumers are very worried about food prices, and they're also worried about what's going to happen with the tariffs. So a lot of the food prices, some are related to tariffs, some are not. So maybe you can break this down for us in terms of the impacts on tariffs on price categories, or what's happening with the rising prices in the grocery store sector.
Well, I think you have three buckets that you have to look at. One of them is tariffs. Okay, that's definitely could impact the business. How nobody knows yet. But it's really a wait and see. I think everybody's going to pretty much have a good feel of what's going to happen in this next month and even September. So we haven't raised any prices. We haven't made any changes due to tariffs. The biggest thing that we get regarding tariffs is our liquor and wine from Europe. The second thing that affects pricing all the time is supply and demand. You can't really blame the egg prices on policy or people raising prices. It had to do with, the avian flu and the herd size shrunk down. So it was a supply and demand thing. And we're getting hit with supply and demand things every single day. It's how I grew up. I've been in the business 50 years. I've seen lobster prices go up because it's rough water out in the ocean, so they can't catch as many lobsters and so forth. So supply and demand is the second bucket, and I think the third thing is just your cost of managing your business or your farm. Every farmer and rancher and everything that I talk to, because we buy a lot of local from a lot of small family businesses, They all can. The thing they always say, I can't get people. I can't. I'm short all the time. I got to pay over $20 an hour, sometimes even more than that, to get good skilled people. So labor has gone up dramatically, and same thing at Stew Leonard's. We've raised our starting rate $5 an hour
Wow.
since back pre-pandemic. So it's just that where's that cost go? And you know what? I'm happy to pay our people more. I mean, I really am, but I also can never dial that back. I have not ever met one person yet that said, "Oh, I'll take a 5% pay cut." So those costs are sunk. I think the opportunities for us and the cost of running our business here has to do with fuel. All the farmers have to put, fuel in their tractors and everything. And to see that come down will help lower the food prices. Right now, even at our store, as far as costs go, we're seeing healthcare costs go up nearly 10%. Um, you know, eh, we're giving great health care to all our people. I'm happy to do it, but it's going to be more expensive. I can't absorb all these costs in our business because we're on razor thin margins already in the food business. So, and energy, our kilowatt hours have gone up quite a bit too. So, those are three buckets. The tariff, supply and demand, and overall a cost of operating a business today.
Well, let me just mention about the cost of operating a business and specifically the labor cost. So, consumers are interesting, right? So, we as American people, we want to have a good wage. We want to provide health care to our employees. We want to make sure there's safe working conditions. So, all of those things, add up to higher labor costs. But sometimes the consumer's not really understanding that higher labor cost, has to be covered in the
Hey,
price of goods.
you know what? Look, the thing you care about is how much you end up paying when you get to the cash register. I
Yes,
mean,
of
I don't.
course.
I mean, nobody wants their prices to go up. I mean, even if you're going to buy something at a drugstore or something, you don't want to overpay. I get it, and look, I got to deliver. I got to offer really good products out there for customers and try to help them save some money on food.
Yeah. So you mentioned tariffs. So let me just talk a second on tariffs. So for those that are listening and aren't looking at the visual that we have on YouTube, you have this huge lobster behind you.
Yeah.
And lobster prices are actually one of the things the tariffs actually benefited the U.S. market with, right? So the tariffs out to China were so high, we had a lot of supply here in the U.S. So that was actually a tariff that benefited the U.S. consumer, right?
Yeah, I think I don't quite understand the intricacies of the tariff because it's not just about price. I know even beef right now, they want to open up even the possibility of the EU buying beef from the United States. Well, that's great. The only thing is that the EU has no hormones, no antibiotics ever.
Right.
Okay, we tend to give hormones, antibiotics to some of our cattle when they get sick. We remove them from the herd, okay, and put them into sort of sick bay over there. They're not really sick. It's like you and I taking a Z pack, But you get the cattle healthy again, and they rejoin the herd again. In Europe, they don't do that. So that's a negotiating point for the tariffs. I never would have thought of that. So it's one of the issues with the tariffs. So there's a lot of things. I mean, what is it? Trump just did something with Indonesia and Cambodia here about I'll lower the tariffs if you guys create a ceasefire. So there seems to be a lot more in the tariff bucket than just actual costs.
Yeah, there is, and it's very difficult to monitor and measure. So, right now, I think what we can summarize is, and you're going to correct me here, is that in the food categories, some categories are hit hard, others aren't hit as hard with tariffs. And to minimize some of those costs, Stu, I know you offer a lot of private brands. Is that a good way for consumers to kind of save money?
Well, definitely, and going and exploring private label. Some of it's not as good as normal, okay? But if you really work on getting a product that's as good or better than a national brand, you can save anywhere from 20 to 40% on that bag of chips or that whatever salsa, whatever it is you're buying. So, I think that, you can, there's opportunities. The other thing is we have specials every week, okay? Every supermarket, even with costs going up, you're always getting a knock on the door all the time from a supplier saying, hey, I want to build my sales. I'll give you a discount if you pass that on to the customer to help them try my product and build my product. Buy what's on sale. Hunt those sales out between the apps and the circulars if you still get them. You can go on the internet online and look at them. But so that's another way you can save money. The other thing is, don't forget you can freeze food.
Right.
Most things with the water content in them you can freeze. Grapes are fantastic frozen. Milk you can even freeze and thaw out. And it's still delicious when you do that. So buy in quantity. We learned this during COVID. The number of freezer sales at people's houses went through the roof, myself included. So, yeah, right. So take advantage, freeze stuff. The other thing I would say is we do a lot of sampling, like Costco does too, where you can get a taste of a product. Sales double or triple every time we demo a product in the store. So what people say, ooh, I'll grab that and take it. So I shouldn't say this because I want to increase sales, but walk away from the demos. Stick to your shopping list, okay? Because, that puts one more item in your cart and raises your grocery thing. And the last thing I tell customers to save money, leave the kids home, okay? They're always grabbing that box of cookies or that juice drink or something that extra. I see it all the time in the store. The parents are saying, no, we can't buy that. We can't buy that. We can't. So anyway, those are just some tips on saving money. My feeling is I think prices will go down on food when, if you adjust out all this noise that's happening right now. I think you'll see prices decrease in the future. I have high hopes about the tariffs. I think it's going to equalize some of the products. Like one thing the tariffs already did to us was we were buying those aluminum pans from Vietnam and China for our barbecue. We'd put fried chicken in them. We'd put, chicken nuggets and stuff. Well, because of the tariffs, we found it was more advantageous for us to buy the aluminum in the United States. So for just like a little bit more, we can get aluminum trays, and it probably offsets the transportation at the end of the day. So there's no net increase to the consumer.
That's great, Sue. So let's talk about beef prices. So beef prices are unrelated to tariffs. They have been up. I think they're up over 8% so far in 2025. They're over $9 a pound. And it's really about this problem with shrinking herds, rising feed cost, increased demand, all of this stuff. So can you talk a little bit about beef prices?
Yeah, well, they are high. We got a guy, Mike Irvin. He's been working with us over 40 years now, and he's on the phone. I just walked by him this morning. He's talking to the Midwest, the different ranchers and stuff. He's never seen anything like this in his whole career. Beef prices at this level. But, right now with the droughts, the weather issues, the cost of feed, the cost of fuel for the ranchers' tractors and so forth, they don't want to invest in new cattle. It costs them too much money. Before you used to put them out in the field and let them eat grass. It was free, okay? Now, if there's a drought and there's no grass, they got to bring feed in to feed the cattle, so it costs them more. So they've put that on pause a little bit. I'm not going to grow my herd right now. Well, that's it takes almost 2 years to raise cattle up until when they can be harvested. But so you're stuck in that dilemma right now with low herd sizes, supply and demand. The price of beef is up. One thing our families tried to do is everybody's making hamburgers this summer. We took our biggest selling ground beef. It's a family pack, but we're selling that at $3.99 a pound.
What?
So yeah, so we've just
Wow.
held the ground beef prices like that. You're trying to do that, but then you got filet mignons and porterhouse. A lot of your center cut steaks have gone up in price. That's why you see even when you go to a nice restaurant or steakhouse, I don't even order steak anymore when I'm there because it's like $55 or
It's
$60
crazy, yeah.
for a steak. Yeah. So I would say, look, but you know what? People love beef. They love beef. I mean, say what you want with the vegetarians and everything. It's really the beef. So, if you're gonna have beef, I would just really encourage everybody. We have great sales and eat it at home. Don't go out because you'll pay a lot of money.
So one of the things that I also heard was that we may look at importing beef from like Mexico and Canada, but I don't know, is that a possible solution? I mean, if you're importing it, then you have the tariffs, which then puts you where we are now with high beef prices.
Right. I'm not a big fan of Mexican beef. I was just talking to our meat buyer. I guess there's some issues where we banned Mexican beef from coming into the United States. I don't know what just happened in the industry, but Mexican beef's not that good, in my personal mouth. So we don't buy Mexican beef. Canadian has some great beef, but they've basically raised all our prices up to the U.S. beef
Yeah.
producers. So you're not getting any relief there. Argentina has some beef. We don't really buy from them because it's all grass fed, and the U.S. has created some grass fed. So there's a lot going on, but right now the thing we want to focus on at Stew Leonard's buy the best. We get a lot of this Angus beef, which is a breed of cattle that we love. There's Texas Longhorns down there, which we've tasted that beef. We don't feel the flavor is as good. So we stick with the Midwest. We got some great ranchers. People want a great quality beef, and guess what? They're willing to pay for it. It's like Haagen-Dazs ice cream.
Yeah.
What's skyrocketed in sales this year is our prime graded beef category at Stew Leonard's. So
Interesting.
you have select, you have choice, and you have prime. Prime's like going to be 20% more even than your $9 number that you mentioned there. But people are gobbling it up, literally.
That's crazy. Okay, so let's move on to another big change that's going to be affecting the grocery store sector, and that is the food dyes. So the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the U.S. Food and Drug Administration is planning to phase out all the petroleum-based synthetic dyes from our foods to make food more healthier. So I recently read a study that 1 in 5 packaged foods and drinks in the U.S. contain synthetic dyes, which is kind of
Yeah.
shocking to me. So that's like, over 40,000 grocery items, probably more than that. Most of those are targeted at children. So aside from the potential health benefits of not actually digesting these artificial dyes, the biggest change that consumers are going to see literally, visually, is the difference in products from a visual perspective, because the dyes really make foods more appealing, right? So this is going to be a significant change, I think, but I'd love to hear your view on that.
Well, I have some. I brought some visuals for you here. Here is. I don't know if you can see these. Can you see them?
Yeah, yes, I'm going to describe them to our listeners. They're gorgeously decorated cupcakes. There's a purple cupcake, orange, yellow, blue, red, lime green. Matches my jacket. Love it.
Yeah, real vibrant colors, right? Now what I'm going to show you is we've done a package of cupcakes here um, with all natural dye. Okay, so look at them.
Yeah, not as vibrant. They still
But,
look delicious though. And I see
yep.
you put some little, I don't know what you call those
So they're
as
little toys.
edibles.
It's like
Okay.
Ariel and all of that stuff. It's a kid's cupcake, you know? So we went and did that. Here's the challenge is to go with all natural dye. This pack of cupcakes right here, we're selling for $8.99 in the
Okay.
store. If we go to all natural, we'll have to raise the price to $9.99.
Wow.
So we've done an Instagram survey right now. 82% of 20,000 people that responded, 82% said, I'll go with the all natural dye, even though I have to pay more money. The I also write this newsletter every month, and I asked our customers to vote, and we had about 2,000 votes, and 92% of them said all natural. So we are going to switch over to all natural cupcakes in the store, but we're going to have to raise the price. So how does that fit into the CPI? How does that,
Yes.
where does customers are willing to pay that? But it's gonna, in a little tiny way, make it look like food prices went up.
Yeah, I mean, I think baked goods were nearly up 1% without all this change. So
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah.
That's interesting. But here, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second, Stu, because this is what I found in retail, unrelated to the grocery store sector. So a lot of our consumers in retail told us we want sustainable goods. We want to buy ethically sourced, sustainable goods. And we did all these surveys, and we did went out to the consumer, and they said, I absolutely are going to pay more for sustainable goods. Yet when we have two jeans on a table, one's sustainable, one's not, and the jean that's sustainable is $10 more, they're actually buying the one that isn't. So
Right.
do you, what's your take on, kind of what consumers are telling you versus what you think they're going
Well,
to do?
in wine, they have a saying that you talk dry, but you drink sweet.
Oh, that's so
So,
funny.
so what people say sometimes is not when it comes to paying, like you said, sometimes they don't want to do it, and it doesn't work. You see this with a lot of these drinks today that have all these different antioxidants, and but you know what? You go buy it, and it's like $4 or $5 a container on the shelf, and they don't sell that well, even though they are better and healthier and cleaner for you. So, so here's what we did. We actually, the reason I have those two boxes is we have two displays of cupcakes down in the store right now. And so what we've been doing for the last couple of weeks is monitor which we have beautiful big signs. The all natural ones are flavored with like beet juice, and some turmeric, for the yellow and
Oh,
everything.
yummy.
But it might, touch the taste a little bit. Like if you add beet juice to the red, it's going to taste maybe a little like beets. So you really want customers to take them home and let the little kids eat them and see if they, I don't like this, red cupcake with the beet juice in it. So we've done it, and we've seen that right now they're selling about 3 to 1 in the store. So
3 to 1.
3 to 1 for the natural ones, and
Wow.
2 to 1. Now, I would say also that could change by store depending on the
Sure.
economics around it. We happen to live in a more affluent community down in Norwalk, Connecticut. Martha Stewart, used to live in town and so forth. So it's a little bit of affluence. So maybe that customer will pay a little bit more. But if
Right.
you go maybe up to store in near Hartford or something, which is more rural, they might not want to pay the extra dollar.
That's interesting. And so if we didn't put any dyes in it, it would just be all white cupcakes, right?
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
beige or something, right?
And
And
guess
consumers,
sales would go through the toilet if you did that, you know?
yeah,
White, it's like we're working with this. We have strawberry ice cream right now. Now, of course, all little kids, I'll have the pink one. I love the pink. They don't go by flavor, they just go by color. So if that falls on your shirt, it's staining your shirt because of the red dye that's
right.
in the strawberry. If you take that out, it looks like vanilla. So what's going to happen? Another thing, we have rainbow bagels downstairs, with
Oh,
blue and
right.
red. And the kids love those things. They forget about any other flavor. They want the rainbow bagel. Well, now what we have to do is put the coloring in and take the dyes out of the rainbow bagels the same way.
Wow. So it's interesting because you mentioned don't bring your kids to the store because they're going to add up the bill. But here's something I did learn over the summer. I have two Gen Z boys, and
uh,
I was in a restaurant and I thought I picked a hibiscus juice because I love hibiscus.
yeah.
And I picked it, I bought it, I set it on my tray. We sat down to eat, and my son looked at me and he said, Mom, that has red dye in it. You're not going to drink that, are you? And I said, no.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't
exactly.
even think, I mean, I should have looked, at the ingredients. I'm usually pretty good at seeing what's in there. I look at the sugar content for obvious reasons, but it's this younger Gen Z and Gen Alpha who actually, I think you may agree, they influence that shopping trip, and they're the ones that are going to be looking at the dyes and wanting something different, I think.
Well, you almost have to, and that's one of my jobs. We have over 100,000 customers a week coming through stews, and so we can monitor things pretty good. But sometimes you hear a little drumbeat out there about some health benefits, and it's not that big at the beginning. Like take protein, okay? Protein, a lot of people are saying it's good for us to eat more protein, for our muscles and so forth. Now, that has reached a crescendo right now because people want to buy. I mean, even look at Coca-Cola just bought that company, Fairlife, and all they have on the front is 20 grams of protein. You start looking at the yogurts, Chobani, and the different yogurts, it all has protein in it. So that's hit. Some of these early ones like dye, for instance, we can hear about it. There's always these customers that everything's something that in food is bad for you. Some research study has
Yeah,
olive oil or spam that you put on your pan or something. So there's always something. You have to wait and see how big the audience is out there. I think it's reached a point right now with the dyes where it's on every mom's mind, um,
right.
who has little kids and they don't want to feed them even conventional milk. We find most of the moms want to go organic, whole
That's right.
milk right now because they're not so. One customer even said to me, "You know what? I'll buy a package of cupcakes without the diet for my kids, but I don't care if it was for me, I'd eat it with the diet."
Interesting.
So a lot of the older generation doesn't care as much, like you mentioned. So, but you just have to monitor these trends. There's so many of them going on all the time, and I would just give Robert Kennedy Jr. some credit for bringing to the forefront this whole issue about the potential medical effects of having dye in food products.
Right. Okay, our last topic today is you and your wife started the Stew Leonard III Water Safety Foundation. You've actually raised over $6 million for water safety awareness and education. I love how you're so connected to the community in this way. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the program?
Well, sure. This is really very dear to our hearts because we had a little a 21-month-old son that drowned in a pool a little over 35 years ago, and we took it upon ourselves at that time. We said, "Whoa, how did that happen?" That was like 2 3 minutes, and what happened here? And so we've spent our last 30 years really plus just educating parents about the danger of being around the pool and not, really watching your kids 24/7. And you see it happen all the time. Unfortunately, I get about a half a dozen phone calls every summer and I call them, I initiate a lot of them for parents that have lost children, try to console them and try to help them out. It's just painful, terrible, worst thing in the world that could happen to any parent. So we've been doing that. And then a couple of years ago, we decided let's now put this thing on steroids, and let's teach the kids now to swim. So we opened a swim school up. We're getting over 1,000 children a week. It's a 501c3. So what we do is we basically donate all the profits back to needy inner city kids. I can't believe it. Some of them have never, ever, ever seen the water before. Can you believe that? I mean, these are all like under 5-year-old type kids, but they've never been brought to the beach or the pond or a river or even a swimming pool. So we gave 50,000 free lessons out last year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just makes my heart feel so good to be able to help these little kids. One's cuter than the next. They mostly are single parent families. And we're able to give them free lessons. So we're building a second swim school right now. And as you can see back here, we have, in the past, we've done a couple books. A number of hospitals across the country have purchased them to give out to help prevent, because they see a lot of drownings coming into the emergency rooms. So it's turned out to be a great thing. We started our charity. We got a couple of Olympians on our board with us, which is great.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yep, Rowdy Gaines and Ali Truitt, and so with the Paralympics. So it's just turned out to be this wonderfully amazing organization. And we're helping so many in the community and these needy inner city kids. And so it makes our heart feel great. And to me, that's like, I'll never retire from that business,
I love it. So it's called Stewie the Duck Swim School, and I love your mission to save lives one lesson at a time.
Yeah.
So,
And hey, if anybody wants, if you want, I'm going to do a little video on this thing coming up, but if you donate $10, that provides one free lesson.
what? Just $10?
$10. You donate $10, and we will provide a free lesson for a needy inner child kid. So that's what would make you feel good, is you're actually enabling one of these kids to take a swim lesson like that. So, but you can go. It's actually stewietheduck.org.
Great.
O-R-G. Yeah. So you can go to that if you want to make a donation. I'd really appreciate it. The kids would appreciate it. You'd be helping the community out, and if you see the delight and excitement of these kids when they get to come take a free lesson, it's like they went to Disneyland or something. It just makes you can't take the smile off your face by seeing the joy in their faces.
Well, Stu, I love it, and I love just talking shop with you. It's one of my favorite things to do. And I'm going to give you 2 commitments. One, I'm definitely going to make a donation to the swim school.
Oh, isn't that nice of you? Thank you.
I love what you guys are doing, and it just makes me cry. I mean, I think your goal is to fund 20,000 swim lessons a year, and I think you hit 50, you said last year, which is amazing. The second commitment is I'm going to get myself over to the Norwalk store because I want to check out, I'm going to check out the cupcake display.
Yeah. Well, call me before you come. I'll meet you down in the store if I'm around. Okay.
Great. Absolutely.
All
Thank
right,
you so
Shelley.
much.